Hello. The first video of, or first part of this video, there's going to be lots of videos. I don't know how many, but I'm just kind of going through each of the kind of categories. The first video was about my screwdrivers. Super simple, nothing too fancy. We're going to kind of work up to those. Today, I'm going to do like pliers and maybe like plier-like tools. I have a wrench and stuff that's in here that's not a mechanical wrench. It's just more of a utility wrench. I want to kind of walk through that. So I'm going to pull those out. I actually am missing a pair of plier, which is the plier for those. Hold on one sec. Aha, here they are. So I would say these are probably the pliers that I use, right? I might as well bring my wrench out as well. So this is the entire set of plier. I do have some specific plier for like wire cutting and stuff like that, but I'm gonna leave those when I kind of cover my electrical kit. Because I do have, some of these will cross realm, but I feel like the wire cutting is more specific to electrical. So here I actually have some Knipex made in Germany. You'll see a trend here. These are like the duckbill or flat bill toothed plier. And these are actually really good for twisting wire. They're not technically lineman's pliers, but they're good for like flattening metal as well. So if you need like squeeze to flatten something, they're super precise, very flat, and they're parallel when they're flat, which is nice. I mostly bought these for getting a grip on something and being able to twist a little bit because they're pretty broad. They're much broader than, let's say, even the needle nose, even at the base. Very good. Still a little stiff. These are fairly new in use, but I've had them for probably a year or so. I've only used them a handful of times, but they're Knipex. I can't imagine they're gonna steer me wrong. These are an old pair of TrueCraft pliers made in Japan. I actually inherited these from my father when he kind of gave me you're a grown-up now. When you leave the house, here's some tools. I've had these for a long time. I've had to sharpen up these kind of wire cutting jaws a little bit, but nothing too crazy. They've got a little bit of beat up on them. I've had these for many years. You're talking over a decade. Very little rust. I've had to put a wire brush to them once or twice since I've owned them, and my dad had them for decades before. So these ones are really nice. These are a little bit more broken in. These are probably, these are newer. These are new to the kind of the tool world anyhow. These are the Knipex, I believe these are the 5-inch versions. I do have the smaller ones, but they're a part of my TSA. Since you can't carry a multi-tool on a plane, I built my own TSA toolbox, but I'll cover that in its own separate video. So these are the wrench plier, fully adjustable. I mean, these are quite good. I think you can get three-quarter inch bolt with these. This is a 5-inch plier. Crazy. Better than any other adjustable wrench I've ever had. I just haven't upgraded that because there's no need. Very good. And these are the standard Cobra plier. Again, very wide jaw on those. If you were in a pinch, you could really get some work done with those. I love these things. They're so compact, they're so light, they're so durable. And you can get some pretty decent projects completed with just these guys. I like both, to have one of each, because sometimes you need to provide some counter torque on stuff. So usually I'll use this as stabilization, and I'll use this on the bolt to just kind of prevent eating it up, but you never know. These aren't exactly pliers, but they've come in handy a lot. So these are similar to what you'd see in like a medical, where you needed to clamp off something, little medical tube or something. They've got these little like ratchet teeth, And when you click them together, maybe you can hear that. You hear that? Now they're locked. They're not going anywhere. These are the brand Dr. Slick. I don't know where these are made, but they've been super nice, very precise, very small. I mean, you're talking smaller than a pretty precise needle nose pair of pliers, and you've got a lot of control. These are a pretty specific use case. I actually grabbed these to help me handle very small, maybe audio wire or fishing thread or other type of stitching. So I've started to practice and play with maybe some leather craft or making wool clothing, but very minimally. I use like 550 inner cord, and these just kind of help give some leverage for that, because grabbing the needle over and over with your hands gets tiring. So being able to clamp something down, even I stole this from my brother, who is a nurse, but I've actually clipped stuff onto here and clipped this to my shirt like a carabiner before. And then I could clip stuff onto the handles or whatnot. But there's so many different uses, and for the price of these, which wasn't very much, they definitely got their use. So I just like having something like that. So this is this one you may say is a little bit more gimmicky, but in times I've used it, it's actually done quite well. It has its downfalls, but this is one of those like all-in-one wrenches. As you can see, this one's 24 to 45, and this one is 9 to 24. Then you've got the American measurements on the other side. Not American, but standard measurements on the other side. Look how polished that is. But basically the way this works is similar to a pipe wrench. You find the side that is more properly sized from the get-go. You would put your bolt in here and you can twist, and it auto or self tightens. And then when you want to get it off, you just kind of like spring it back and pull it off the bolt. The only challenge I have with this one is this part has to be in the direction that you're trying to tighten or loosen. So if I need to tighten something, it's got to be this way. But if I need to loosen it, I have to flip it and go this way. So you have to be very specific at orientation. The other problem I've had with this is the spring on this big one is not quite as strong as the one on the little one. So unless you have it set perfectly or you have a full grip, it'll slip. I mean, what do you expect? It'll slip a little bit, but if you just kind of put some back pressure on this guy when you're doing it, you'll be able to get it. And to save some room, just for the odd time that I need a wrench or some type of small pipe wrench or something like that, just to provide some grip and leverage, this has worked out really well. Again, gimmicky. Would I say that this is the best one-stop shop? No. I'd probably prefer to get maybe a 10-inch version of these guys, or even these. I think they would provide just as much functionality and leverage. The only reason I got this is I wanted to give it a shot, but also it's way cheaper. The full-size 10-inch or 12-inch version of these you're talking $60+ I think this was like 13, 14, and it's pretty nifty. It feels sturdy. It's got that going for it, but I don't know. Maybe something I exchange at some point, but thus far, the tools I have here have done the job. So this one is actually from my grandfather, made in USA. I actually replaced my old kind of cheaper version recently with this. He had this sitting in his garage and offered to let me pick some of his old tools out, and I grabbed this, and I'm very glad I did, because having a USA made steel from Dyma alloy or Dime alloy, never heard of the brand, but this thing is legit. Most of the time with cheap wrenches, you get a lot of wiggle back and forth, up and down. Comparatively to the cheap ones, this has so little movement, which is a good thing. I did clean this up some. I oiled it up. It had some surface rust on it, but nothing that was going to destroy it. Kind of see some of the remaining goo. I do have some refinishing acid that I planned on putting some of these old tools in to kind of get some of the finish off of it. Maybe clean up some of this deeper rust. You've got some discoloring there. I'm actually on the fence with that. And I say that because this patina is pretty sweet. And there's really no rust that I can't just essentially wipe off with some 3-in-1 or Ballistol or something. So there's no damage to the teeth or nothing. And these have been put through their paces. My grandfather is not known for being gentle with things, and they look great. So this is actually my only adjustable wrench, aside unless you want to consider this one an adjustable wrench. But between here, I've got pretty much all of my plier needs covered. So let me know if you guys have the larger versions of either any of the Cobra plier or something equivalent that might be able to replace this and cover the range of these, because that's the big thing. Is I really want something that will work up to a 24 millimeter or even more. I mean, this thing says it'll cover up to a 45 millimeter. I don't know how true that is, but if you've got something that you think would cover this range, that from the Cobra or anything like that, that you would like me to try, send a link or put a link in the description. I'd love to check it out. Or if you have any questions on any of this, since maybe you haven't used some of these pliers, or maybe there's something I missed, some key features that I may be missing, let me know. If you like this stuff, definitely feel free to subscribe. I'm going to be covering a lot more coming up, as you can see. Got some cool stuff, got some pretty normal stuff, but I think with this toolkit, you can be a homeowner that is both effective and you have almost all of your normal construction or home ownership or handyman needs covered. So yeah, look forward to seeing you again, and have a good one.